ADHD strategy in my own design. Shaking off the scripts they wrote in my mind. ADHD rhythm in my stride. Energy budget holding me aligned.
Hello and welcome to ADHD Energy Strategy Live. This is long game energy strategy for ADHD human beings like you and me. And really what we do is once a month, we get together, as some of you know, and some of you are new, so I'm going to say it anyway. We get together and we look at life through the lens of ADHD energy budgeting, which is what is costing you, what is crediting you, fueling your accounts, and also what's building margin, which is space in your calendar and capacity for your brain and your heart and your vibes, giving yourself that kind of space. And so we talk about that. And I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we are going to be chatting. The theme is this. It's roles, the roles you play, the rooms you're in, and the rules that exist. And this really came about because Raven, who's here with us tonight, we're going to chat with Raven first, and then we're going to open it up to everyone so we can all chat. Basically, the idea that I'm really inspired by Raven all the time. She's a friend of mine. She designed my office. She designed my house, but you're seeing the office. And I was really blown away by how much her design process felt like coaching. It was, especially when you have ADHD, you have all these ideas and they're very expansive. Whoever in this room, I know many of us have ADHD, and also many of us here are creative. And so, sometimes your ideas are just so big and there's just so many of them. And it's kind of like a challenge to contain them or to limit them in any way, like a decision can feel like too much, And so her process really helped me think about life a little more in terms of containers, like I'm in this space. This is the role I play as wife to Dave. When I'm in these calls, it's host, it's friend, sometimes maybe coach, collaborator, and so it's when you think about ADHD and you think about energy, because we all know you have to have energy to do anything in life. It is literally the foundational layer of everything. It comes before habits. It comes before mindset. It's literally, if your energy is not something you understand in your day, everything else downstream of it is affected by it, so it's like, especially when you have ADHD, we got to think about these things. And so I thought it'd be fun tonight to just think about what roles do we play? What rooms are we finding ourselves in? What rules are associated with those? And how does that impact our life? How does that impact the unconscious energy that we're spending when we're thinking about being in these spaces? Like, for example, what's the speed in which I'm in this room? What's the tone in which I speak? What's the way that I present myself? All these things can cost us, they can credit us, and they can also build margin. So that's my little spiel on what this is about. I want this to be whatever that means to you. So we're going to talk with Raven here in just a second. But before we do that, I want to share a little bit about how we hang out tonight for those of you who are new here. So basically, we can all just chat, It's fully open to anyone who wants to share. If someone speaks a little bit and me and that individual have a conversation, you can also ask that person questions, So it's just really super open. And I want you to feel like this is a hangout. You're like, oh, I want to chat. Also, we've got the chat box, which I monitor. So if you just want to throw some things in the chat as we're going along, I'll be paying attention to that. You also just don't even have to share. If you're like, I'm in a listening mood tonight, or I'm just in a hanging out mood, or I'm doing something else and you're just in the background, totally fine. There are no rules. And if you need to bop out early, that's okay too. That's everything from me. I'd like to open it up to Raven here in just a second. I do want to remind you, if you would like to share, write share in the comments. A share could be something about the theme. It could be something not about the theme. Something you're like, I've been waiting to talk to you about this for a month. We have some cool celebrations. I would love to check in with, there's a couple people, I won't call you out, but there's a couple people who have some cool things going on in their lives that I think would be kind of cool to hear about. And also if you have anything interesting that you feel like you just want to maybe process, that's okay too. So I'm going to go ahead and let Ashley in and we'll get started. I'm going to bring Raven on. Raven is an interior designer. She is the best-selling author of Dream Lifestyle Style Design. It's on Amazon. We will link it so you can check it out. And Raven also has something very cool she's doing, which I'll let her announce if she wants to talk about it. But I'll bring Raven on. I'm going to pop you on the spotlight. And if you're willing to share tonight, just put share in the comments and we'll get to you soon. So Raven, you look amazing. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm getting some blonde like you. I'm like, I need to switch it up.
I love it. It's a spring refresh. Your
Yeah.
pictures, by the way, from the event, Raven went to this event this last weekend that was like a Mad Hatter, like Alice in Wonderland at the Botanical Gardens. It looked so amazing.
Yes, it was a women's event and everybody wore hats according to their imagination. I have never seen hats like this before. I literally felt like Alice in Wonderland. Some women had cubism hats and they were all matching. And you know what it reminded me of, Mo? I didn't know if you shared this with anybody, but for my birthday, pre-birthday, we dressed up as elderly women, but really as ourselves, our higher selves, our elder selves, and we went to a museum and we had the best time.
It was
And it
so
reminded
fun.
me of that because it was doing something different. It was channeling something different and dressing up in a different way. And I don't think I've ever felt more free than dressing up as my older self and channeling my great grandma Lillian. So that's a whole nother.
Literally, you know what? We do need to just talk about this time. I really will challenge everyone on the call tonight. If you've ever wanted to just go play dress up and go be out in public, which is so fun. Also, though, like it was fun, our conversation about when you think about yourself as, we picked an age that we were, and I think I was in my 80s or something, and it was
Yeah.
fun to just like imagine who you want to be at that time. And it was just like it was actually like really it was a really reflective experience for me too, I guess I should say.
It was empowering because
Yeah.
it's funny. Sean and I always talk about our elder selves. We joke that I'm going to feed him applesauce and pudding.
Aw.
And he's like, don't give me, he doesn't like applesauce. I'm like, I'm going to give you applesauce because you're older than me. You're not going to be able to tell me that you don't want applesauce. You're going to get it. So it's funny that we joke about it. And Sean's wig, initially, when we dressed up for this, it looked like a Justin Bieber wig. And we're like,
Oh
no,
my
you look
gosh.
like you're from Fall Out Boy. So we told him you have to do something else with this wig. But I think honestly, dressing up was one of the funnest parts. And then once we get there, it's just we just feel
Yeah.
elated. So it was awesome. But it's all design,
Yeah.
it's all art, and it's just fun to do something different.
Yeah, I feel like that's it's kind of fun that you should bring it up that way, like the idea that everything's art and design. By the way, shout out to Rebecca, first time on the call. She said done. She said done it. It's so fun. Bowling grannies. That sounds fun. And then Michelle Rickman said, I dressed up as Cat in the Hat and went out grocery shopping. Oh, that's awesome. And running errands just because that's what I want to do. Michelle is amazing. Everybody on this call is so fun. But honestly, Michelle, you are like, you literally give vibes of like, this is how it's supposed to be.
It's
Hello
delicious
to
for our brains.
you. What was that?
It's delicious for our brains.
It really is. And I think it's fun when you think about life like that. When you think about like life is design and life is art. I know we have some art people here tonight. So we've got some theater people here tonight, and we have some film and production people here tonight. And honestly, most ADHDers and highly sensitive people are creative. And it's fun when you think about what roles you play because like especially with energy budgeting and energy strategy, I always like to think like, okay, there's your energy reality, and there's also what you want it to be. There's how you are showing up in the world, how you want to show up in the world, and you really get to influence that through your own creative process. And so you
Yep.
you do get to put on these different hats, whether it's cat in the hat type of hat or even like with you this year. I one thing I love about our friendship, we both moved here around the same time and met later. And I've witnessed you move from Beverly Hills, you have Decor Beverly Hills. You're running Decor Beverly Hills in Texas while it's still in Beverly Hills as well. So you're building this here. You become a wife, you become a mom. you become an author. How do you, especially knowing that you're a highly sensitive person and there's moving that's happening, you move from one place to the next. How do you think about your life in the last couple years when you think about the roles you played and all the rooms you've been in?
Yes, I honestly think it was death of ego. And I've heard that a lot recently. It's like, oh, it's almost like when you think of something, you start seeing it everywhere. But I really wanted to find love. That was huge for me. And I felt like life brought me to Beverly Hills. I was a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. I've always loved my Barbie dream houses, but I'm from Arizona. I'm a sunshine type of girl. I love the sun. And I had a lot of clients in LA, and one day I just said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. I'm staying. And my life it was like a snowball effect. And it's really energy, Mo, because like when you meet
Yeah.
the right people and interior design, people are inviting me in their home. So I think it's the most important thing to connect with them on a deeper level. And so when people were having me fly from Arizona, they're like, "Oh, what a breath of fresh air. Like an Arizona girl is
Yeah.
so fun and full of sunshine, you know?" It's not the Sunshine State, that's Florida, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it was
You're
really
solar
interesting.
powered.
Yeah, so I just like I kind of go where life takes me. And then my sister, she's always wanted to be in modeling and whatnot, so she ended up moving before I did, and she was only 17 years old and she's been on sets and all this since then. So we kind of were like young girls and like going after our dreams. She was much younger than me, darling, but we were going after and then I kind of got to a point like, okay, well, what's next? And I think that a lot of us thought of that during 2020. It's like, okay, great, I
Yeah.
have this really beautiful apartment in Beverly Hills, but I'm alone, you know? And like, I don't know what my life is going to look like. And thank God for my career, but I really was just making money off of being a creative. It's like, I didn't choose this life, you know, this life chose me. And I just was lucky
Yeah.
enough to make enough money to pay my bills and to build businesses. But I'm like, okay, what do you want? We all had that moment in 2020. And I was like, I really want to find love. And so when I was visiting Texas, I was furnishing a restaurant here, ended up working on a nightclub called Cash Cow, which is hilarious and awesome.
Yes.
I met Sean while I was working on the nightclub Cash Cow.
Mhm.
And it's like he's in the design industry. So like the rest is history. And I'd say that we did like the fast subscription. We got engaged, we got married, and then I was pregnant within 4 months after we got married. So it was a lot, Mo, and you witnessed all of that. And I think it was death of ego because once you are pregnant, I'm already a highly sensitive person. I overthink every conversation, everything I do. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
what was I doing there? That was cringe. I'm like, I'll have a memory of something I did like 5 years ago, and I'm like, that was really cringe, you know? And it's like your brain
Yeah.
takes over. So when you're pregnant, I mean, it is crazy, but also it makes you think about how you take care of yourself, but also it makes you respect yourself more, you know, because now you're like, this is a new life. I don't want them to feel this way about themselves and to enter life this way. And I heard that babies take on your energy. So I just kept good energy going and positivity. And now I feel like I really know what I want in life. And I think that that's the biggest gift.
Oh my gosh, I love the way that you think through the energy that you have when you show up in these different roles because this was something you and I talked about a little bit too because I don't have any kids. I know that there are people on this call who are moms and I actually have a client who is a recent mom and she and I were chatting a little bit about just the kind of mind fuck of it all. The idea of like I I I am now a what does it mean to be a mom? You know, like I guess that's the only like and also I have this other life and this other role, you know, and how do all those things come together? And I you and I just chatted recently about the way that some of that shifted to you and I just really loved the way you talked about it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think the biggest you're never ready for really anything that you really want or
Yeah.
anything that happens in life, right? But I think it kind of clicked to me after I gave birth and they had a lactation specialist come in and teach me how to breastfeed. I was like, whoa, this is happening. Like it was within, I feel like seconds after I gave birth, and I'm like still like, whoo, what just happened? Where am I? And you're expected to breastfeed your baby. Like automatically. That was a shock to me. I
Yeah.
guess nobody told me that part. And I'm like, whoa, we're in it. We didn't get sleep for months. We sleep deprivation. Our baby's he loves to cry and he loves to, not sleep. So that's still a thing that we are dealing with, and he's finally going to sleep now. But wow. And then so the second part that really shocked me is when I was first sick. And you know how it is, Mo. It's like when you're sick, you want to be the baby. You want to like snuggle up in your bed
Yeah.
and like watch something and you're like and you feel bad for yourself. You're like, I'm really sick. I like this is
Yeah.
horrible. And then there's a baby that's also sick. And I was like,
Mm.
I can't even have the sorrow happening in my mind because I'm taking care of a child and you're worried about them. So it really is death of ego because nothing that mattered before matters anymore. And it's really like you've entered the other side of the matrix.
Yeah, literally, I was listening. There were two things I heard today that just like really, it like vibrated my system. The idea of, okay, so one of them was just the grieving process of role change in general, and how what once was has now changed. And you do have this grieving process of how life is different now. I guess is probably the only way to say it. And then also I was listening to this piece with Kevin Hart. There's this new, it's called I can't even remember. It's on Netflix. It's a new like laugh show. It's like a comedy contest. You guys
Oh,
should watch
I
it.
love to laugh. I love to
It
laugh.
it is really good, and it's happening just so everybody knows. It's also there's a voting thing happening this weekend on Netflix. It's really good. Anyway, so Kevin Hart says this piece where he's like, "Hey, you never really know when your moment's going to come, but when it does come, are you going to be ready?" And I really feel like flexibility of like letting go what's supposed to be released, letting go of the control you had on what you wanted it to be, and then also just sort of like the surrender, like the ego death or however you want to say it, of stepping into new realities and the discovery that comes when you're able to do that.
Amen to that. And you also have less time, obviously.
Yeah.
So then you utilize your time so much better. And I'm just going to segue into what I started creating afterwards because I've been creating for people for so long. And I don't know if other people here resonate with just pouring into other people's cups all the time. That's
Mm,
kind of been my jam. And I was a people pleaser. And so I had to recover from that because number one, I have to take care of a child, but I need to take care of myself as well. And I met with a brand specialist and she had me take a test. And she said, "You've been doing your brand all wrong." And I thought that was really interesting. And she said, "You're an authority brand. You're a leader. So you need to figure out your own style and your own situation. And then you have people lead." I have been a servant and serving heart to people like, what can I do for you? How can I design your space? And that's fine because that served me pre-mama, right? But now I
yeah.
need to have a full foundation and a full brand so that people come to me for exactly what they want so that we're not, have spending any additional time that we don't need to. And she said, "Raven, you're really great at building community." And I'm like, that's just my side volunteer thing because I started the Women's Business Network for the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce. And that's just because I wanted to connect with other women. And if you women here or men or entrepreneurs, it's a lonely game. So I was like, I want to be around entrepreneurs. I want to be around business professionals that want to exchange ideas. And that's how the business network came along. And I didn't think of it as something that I could monetize off of at all. And she's saying, this is a gift. So I wanted to do a
Yeah.
magazine. So I went home and I thought, okay, I'm really good at putting people on a platform, especially in the design industry and artists and creative. So I'm super excited to do that and write articles about people, especially being an author. Like I love to write. So it just was
Yeah.
a great segue for me.
Oh, I'm so excited for you, and your taste is impeccable. And like you said, you're really such a connector and you're so warm. It's what drew me to you to begin with. And your playfulness and your, you have this just I think it's just like this fun energy that I immediately was drawn to because I want that in my life too. It's like, hey, how can we do all these things and still have fun, please? How can we do all of these things and still find the lightness and the joy of it all, or the absurdity? And And I love that about you. And so I really think it's going to be fun to see. Now, will you tell us the name of your magazine and when you're officially launching, where we can find it, and also if you'd like to link it, and your book so that we can find it?
Sure, yes. It's Decor Elite magazine. And the elite part is just people that really feel like they love art and design and they're art and design enthusiasts. And it's about just diving into that and just having fun. And that's why when we talked about that, the Mad Hatter's party, that's what I'm talking about. There's something about art and design that makes you feel something. Like when you see a movie, and I see Ashley on here, it makes you feel something and you can feel the difference from when you look at a different room or a different art piece that doesn't quite have that or AI art or whatnot. So it's just about building a community that makes you feel something.
Yeah. And also I just love the idea of you as an authority. You have just in the process of knowing you connected us with other people who are in different fields within your industry who are also, like you said, the elite experts are the ones you go to if you want to know about lighting, if you want to know about a certain texture of a you
Yeah,
know
furniture. Yeah.
shade or like yeah like that. And so that's cool to me that you get to showcase your knowledge too, and just also for everybody who's listening to this on the podcast later, and then everybody who's here hanging out with us tonight. Something that I also love about you is you know every kind of design style there is inside your book too. You have all these beautiful they're kind of like little, what do you call them? I
Your
want to call.
design style quiz.
Yes. I was thinking in my head, it was like a lookbook, but that's not what it's called. It's like, but you can look through all these designs that Raven created in these different styles. So, if you were to look at it, you're covered. Like your design style is in there. And if you don't know your design style, you can figure it
Oh,
out.
I love that. It's just like personality. It's just
Yeah.
passion. We all have a different style, and sometimes we combine styles, and sometimes that's rooted in our childhood, or sometimes that just becomes somebody that we want to become, and then we make that into our space, and it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be expensive. It just has to be intentional. So I studied all of them. You know the drill. I studied
Yeah.
ones that I didn't think were real, like Japandi and Wabi
Yeah.
Sabi. So it was really interesting to learn that, you know what, I went to school in this different era, and the new era has new interior design styles. So I was learning new things as well. But I love when people take the test in the book and they're like, hey, I'm this style. And I didn't know that. I couldn't put a name to the style that I was, and I love that. Or I'm two different styles. I'm Hollywood glam dolling and a little bit of ultra modern or whatnot. So it's so fun, and that's why identifying yourself, it really gives you power.
Yeah, and especially when you think about like an office space, for example, like when I'm in this space, how do I want to feel? I mean, these are questions you and I talked about, which I think especially for a highly sensitive person in ADHD or someone who can be overstimulated at times or not stimulated enough or needs it to be organized in a certain way. We all have these very unique ways of showing up and needing things. And I love that design can also support that, which I really learned and felt honored through your process. So I just gosh I'm so glad you're here tonight. Like I said, if you'd like to link anything in the chat, we're gonna open it up here in just a second, Raven, and so everybody else who's here tonight, if you want to chat with Raven, maybe just put share in the comments or raise your hand and I'll see you. Is there anything that you want to we're not just saying goodbye to you, but is there anything that we didn't talk about that you're like, hey, before we pop into the group chat, anything else that you want to share with us?
I'm just here for the vibes. So I'm just so excited to like hang out with you guys and connect, and hear what you guys are thinking, and anything that came up for you. I would love to dive in, darling. I want to dive in.
Yes. Well, hey, also, I want to show you my shirt.
Woo!
I
Spice
I
up your life.
I got this last week in Colorado and I was like, I saw it in this boutique window and I was like, okay, that looks comfortable. And it's also, I saw Spice Girls in the window and I went straight in and I got a free hat out of the deal. So I also want to say hello to Jessica Ann. I didn't mention you, but I see that you're here. I'm so glad to see you. Um, oh, right. Is there anyone here who would like, I'm going to keep you up for just a second, Raven. Is there anybody here who wants to chat with Raven while she's still on? If you want, think of something later, that's fine too. Or we can move into other conversations of the night, other shares, people who are here. Okay, Raven, we'll pop you off the spotlight. And I also would like to, I see that Rebecca, or no, there's Michelle. I was looking for you. Um, so I also want to say to Michelle, congratulations. She just had a national event. She's the president of the Baxter Chamber of Commerce. So speaking of chambers, Raven, she's the president of the Baxter Chamber of Commerce in Kansas. And they just had a big blowout event where national press came down today. So, or no, was this yesterday? This was this morning, right? Um, Anyway, she's out there crushing it, and I just wanted to say congratulations to you. I saw some of the pictures, and I can also share those with yeah, go Michelle. Ashley says in the comments. So yeah, if you want to at any point tonight share with us about what you have coming up and going on, Michelle, we would love to hear from you. But no pressure, no rush. So I'm going to chat here for just a second, and while I'm chatting, if you'd like to share tonight, just put in the comments. Even if you're just like, I'm not even really sure what I want to talk about, but you just want to pop on. Now's your chance. Go ahead. Um, I just want to say it's interesting this comment about Kevin Hart and being ready for your moment. This has really stuck with me. You know how those things you just hear them and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is good. I think when I don't know if oh, Michelle says she wants to share. We'll pop you on to the spotlight here in just a second. Um I feel like a lot of the times, I don't care what role you're in, you're here on this planet as an individual, even if you're around community all the time. And so I think a lot about the state of how we are when we're alone, and when we're doing the things that need to be done, especially, I say all the time, especially if you're an entrepreneur, but if you're a person who has any roles in your life, um, the way that you have to keep showing up when no one's there and when it's really hard and when it's really weird and I just think that the idea of always being ready for whatever the moment is, there's a little bit of maybe it's stoicism that comes along with it. Um, just you can't control everything, but can you be in a space of like Raven said, the idea of the ego death where you're available and ready for what does come, when it does come, when things you expect come, when things you don't. So it looks like we have some shares of the night. We've got okay, yeah, we'll just go down the list. We'll start with Michelle. I'll pop you here on the spotlight. It's so good to see you. What is going on? How did today go?
Oh, it went well. It's very exciting. Fox and Friends national morning show came to Baxter to discuss Baxter and Route 66 and the community and things like that. So the last 2 weeks I've been working with their field director there in New York City and things like that. So that was pretty exciting. You know, there's a lot of different things, a lot of moving parts in my life, a lot of things that are growing and fantastic opportunities. And, really what it's about, it's just been a big shift. And I just wanted to take a moment to kind of just talk about something. I know Mo and I had been talking about it and things like that. And it really, I don't know, may or may not have anything to do with what we're talking about. Today, after the Fox and Friends morning show, I did a presentation to the business owners on avoiding burnout, right? Setting
Oh
boundaries.
yes.
Setting
Yes.
boundaries is huge. Setting boundaries, that life, that personal, professional life balance, and then all the roles that we have as, mothers, husbands, wives, whatever we are. Anyway, so we were talking about burnout and things like that. And so that was exciting today. That was fun. I always like to talk, and I think I got chocolate in my teeth, but you
Well,
guys have to do
I
it.
can't even see it.
I was like, you guys have to deal with it. It's just chocolate. But what I wanted to share today, and Mo and I had talked about recently, is that I'm 52 years old and I've had ADHD forever. Never was treated, tried to treat it, hated it. My choice. That's on me. It's what I didn't like it. But anyways, my point of all this is that well, after my divorce a couple years ago, things started shifting. My business group blew up. I invested a lot of time in that. I shifted from, being a wife and catering to all his needs and childish stuff that I put the energy, I took the energy and made it about me. And so my business, I'm a psychiatric nurse practitioner. I own a psychiatric clinic, for those of you that want to know. And I have one in
Yes.
Baxter, and then I just opened a new one in Wichita, my second clinic, working on a third one in Overland Park. So hopefully everything gets going. But anyways, so my point about all this is struggling with the ADHD. I especially back then, girls really didn't have ADHD. They just talked a lot, or they were bossy, or they
Yeah.
were just a lot, or whatever like that. So I heard that forever. So anyways, after things started changing with my divorce, and I went to the Capitol, been working with some of the politicians and doing some movement on foster care reform and getting in with all these kind of different people as I never had been before. I was really struggling. I was like, okay, if I'm going to be in the big leagues, I need to work on my ADHD. I need to be different, or I need to change, or I need to conform. I don't conform. I don't fit in very well. I don't care. I don't like it. But for some reason, I got in this funk that I needed to be different, and I needed to change basically how my brain worked. If for me to be successful or to be with these people or to fit in, I needed to do that. That it lasted, I think, Mo, what, 6 months. And then I just told Mo the other day, I said, I hated it. I felt I was fighting with myself every day, not being me, not it was just an internal battle. I was like, then finally I decided I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if they don't like the way I talk. They don't like the way I present. They don't like the speeches that I give. They don't like to go. You don't have to come. And that's how I decided I'm not changing. I talk fast. I don't make sense half the time. My mouth and my brain don't align all the time. But if you don't like it and you don't like me moving around all the time when I talk, you don't have to come back. And that's what I decided is that for the first time in my life, I am content with who I am. And
Mhm.
so, I just wanted everybody to realize that is that, you know what? Don't conform, don't change, don't fit in. Because you know what? You'd be boring just like the rest of them.
Yeah. You know what
That's
I
all.
heard the other day? I want to say something. So, I highly recommend Good Hang with Amy Poehler. Such a great podcast. She had the other day, I don't remember who on. Anyway, the question was, would you rather be annoying or boring? And I was like, that's a really fun and easy game for me because I'd rather be annoying, hands down, And I love what you say though, Michelle, because I think this again, it's like when you decided I'm no longer going to give all my energy to other people and to trying to control the way I present myself so that I'm palatable for the rest of the world or so that whatever the thing is, the idea of the rules that you have spinning in your head of what a successful person looks like, even like how much energy has been restored to your life, how it's elevated even your mood and the way that you're able to focus on the things that you're focusing on because you're not burning all that energy in
Mhm.
your brain and your heart and your body trying to keep a lid on what makes you the most colorful, unique kind of person that you are. I just love it.
Mhm. I'm glad to be alive.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it that people say? If you want less, like, I don't, or like you can choke on how much I don't remember I don't remember what it is. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like if you want less, I can't remember. This is ADHD happening in real time when you can't think of I combine
And you
phrases
know what?
a lot.
We already know what she's talking about. We got it. We don't even need to hear it from her. We're like, oh, yeah, yeah, we got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. You can choke on how much I am. I don't know how it goes. But anyway, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. You're always a spitball and a fireball, and we appreciate you sharing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll pop you off, and if anybody wants to chat with Michelle, we can pop her right back on. Leela has joined us, so hello, Leela, and it looks like Nicole is next to share. Are you good to Say
Yeah.
hello to everyone. Amazing. Okay, you're here
Hello,
officially.
hello.
Hello,
I'm
hello.
official. Yes. Hi. I wanted to tag a little bit off of what Michelle was saying too, because what I wanted to talk about today is I've been very stuck for such a long time, like as a creative, not just creatively speaking, but then, getting caught up in motherhood and getting caught up in a career and, a marriage and all of the things that you're juggling and wearing all the hats and trying to make everything balanced and not let any of the balls drop. And so I was curious, and if Raven is still with us too, I was going to ask her, because she was talking about the sense of community and finding your people and how that really can transform your whole life. And now that you're in motherhood too, what is your advice for someone who feels stuck, who feels like they've lost their spark a little bit, and how you can find a sense of community when you're not even sure who you are in the moment?
Mm.
Oh my gosh, Nicole, I feel that so to the core. And it's still a process for me. My baby is 1 years old. Mo told me a little bit about your baby. Your baby's like 1 month, right?
Oh,
No,
this
no,
is
not
a
me.
different.
Oh, right. Okay,
Yeah,
Yep.
how
yeah.
old's your
There's a
baby?
lot. My son is 5. He'll be 6 in August.
Oh
Check.
my gosh. Okay, so amazing. So basically, understanding who you are, but taking the time to do that, right? That takes time. You have to actually schedule the time to even go on Pinterest and think about, okay, what is my dream life looking like? Like, what is my day to day? And we've done this practice with Mo and with other people. Like, if you woke up tomorrow in your dream lifestyle, what does that look like? Because we're so used to having problems and we're not used to solutions sometimes. When we're so deep in the crap, we don't even smell it anymore, and we're just like going through the days. And sometimes days feel like survival. And we have to think, okay, if everything was exactly how I want it to be, what would that even look like? And it's like, be careful what you wish for, because the second that you decide this is what would happen in the morning, this would happen in the evening, then you can make that happen. And then you're going to be like, oh wait, actually I don't want that, I want to change this, I want to change exactly what my goal is now. But just really sitting with yourself, scheduling in your mama time, your when I mean mama time, your mama to yourself, and saying, okay, what do I need? What do I need to do to pour into myself today? And that's so important for everyone. But as a mom, it's like we have way less time than most people now. But understanding exactly what you need and pouring into yourself and planning that time, scheduling that time, just like you schedule everything else for whoever, scheduling that time for yourself. The moment I started scheduling fun, my gosh, like life was so much better. And I'm like, I can't believe I was living like this for so long. Why was I not having any fun and not scheduling fun for myself? So I hope that tomorrow or tonight you can think of, okay, if I was to wake up in my dream lifestyle, like what would that even look like? What is it that I want? And just kind of starting there and just kind of like just spitballing and just dumping it all on a piece of paper. And then, I'm all about making vision boards. And I met Leela and Mo through the women's group, Women Already Connected, and it was really started with the vision board party. And that's what drew me to it, because I'm all about what do I actually want and then going after it.
I
Mm.
love that. And then I know you mentioned something about a quiz and how maybe that can help some people who maybe do feel stuck. Because I know a lot of times for me, I feel trapped between a couple of different things. And anybody who knows me, like I'm also into numerology and astrology. And so like being in Aqua with heavy Virgo traits, like those two things don't really mesh. And then the numbers 2 and 5, having your routine in your order, but also wanting to be completely original. All of those things kind of being in competition with one another. So when I think about, things like that, I find myself getting stuck even in those thoughts because they're competing in so many ways and figuring out if I go down one pathway and it's wrong, or how can I combine these without it feeling inauthentic to both sides, that kind of
Mm.
thing. Would that be something that could be kind of addressed with that quiz, or what are your thoughts?
So the quiz from the book has to do with interior design style. So it's a little bit different. What you need is so much deeper and it's so divine. Like what you're talking about is so deep. I love Virgos. Like Virgos are my favorite sign. I was raised by my grandma who's a Virgo, and my husband's a Virgo, and Beyonce's a Virgo too.
Ooh, oh.
So I'm like, I totally get what you're saying, and I think I don't know if you're giving yourself grace. And I think that that's just what I'm hearing. Like I feel like you are I overthink as well, but do you feel like you give yourself grace, or are you a harsh critic on yourself?
I have very heavy Virgo traits, so I'm very harsh on myself. Yes, very critical.
I feel that energy. So I feel like the number one thing is being kind to yourself and figuring out that part first, that harsh critic, and talking to yourself how you would talk to your friend or give advice to your family. I struggle with that too. I'm a highly sensitive person. I overthink absolutely everything. And I even remembered something from 5 years ago today, and I was like, why did I do that? That was so cringe. I totally didn't make the right decision. What is wrong? Like I'm a mom with a family and businesses, and I'm thinking about an awkward conversation I had. What is going on? Sometimes our brains are our worst enemy, and it's absolutely horrible. And then we have to manage our brains. We have to manage ourselves to like come back to like this is reality. So that is number one, is working on that voice. As soon as you hear that negative thought or a thought that you wouldn't tell your child or your family member, like really understanding that is number one. I'm sorry, I don't have a quiz for it. Maybe I should
No,
make.
that's okay. No, that's okay. But I was thinking like even with the style, like if you can identify the space and like what energy you want to bring to something, like that can
Yeah.
shape things. It's kind of like in theater or even in film, like when you're playing a character, in rehearsal, it's one thing, but then the minute you put on that costume, it's like, wow, now it's completely
Yeah.
in this world. So I can completely understand how design can play into that. But no, I appreciate that. And then I wanted to also ask, if it's not terrible, but I wanted to ask Michelle a question too,
Yeah.
because you were sharing about how you went through basically a reinvention. Like you got your divorce and you got your whole entire career kind of blowing up in the direction that you wanted it to go. So in
Yeah.
your world, what would your advice be to somebody who's going through that too?
Well, I think,
100%. Oh, go ahead, Mo.
oh, were you talking about Michelle Rickman?
Yes, I
Let me,
was.
Yeah,
let me, I'm
spot
sorry.
on.
Do you know what's funny? Me and Nicole were messaging earlier, and I thought that's what
We
you were
were.
referring
We
to.
were.
Let's
I'm so
pop Michelle
sorry.
Rickman on. No, it's fine. I'm just gonna be quiet. Michelle Rickman, the floor is yours, girl.
I mean, it's huge. Absolutely huge is your self-talk, right? So one of the most important things first, I can guarantee you 90% of the time when people are stuck, right, is because that they are not happy with themselves, they're not content, and they're not taking care of themselves. They are sacrificing themselves for others. They're people pleasing too much. They have a lack of boundaries. Those core pieces, they're huge. Honestly, one of the things I said, and she touched base on it too, is when you talk to yourself, every time you say something to yourself, take a second and say, would I say that to my son? Would I say that to my child? And if the answer is no, do not ever say it to yourself. Right? You have to be your biggest cheerleader. You have to be your biggest fan. You should always be the one cheering you on. Honestly, you have to love yourself and respect yourself, right? Because it makes your confidence goes up, your self-esteem goes up, your energy goes up, your productivity goes up, your movement in life goes up, right? So when we don't feel good about ourselves, what happens is we become stagnant, right? You say you're stuck, we become stagnant. What happens to stagnant water? It starts to stink and it starts to grow bacteria. So you got to start moving, no matter how small it is, one step at a time, one step at a time. And how you start moving, you set a goal. What's a goal for you? What do you want? Not as a mother, not as a wife, not as an employee. What do you want? What do you want to see in your life? What is something you want to reach? And you know what you do? You have that goal and you take a step, and then you take a step. Any teeny tiny step is progress, but you got to figure out what you want. You got to figure out what you like, and you got to figure out where you want to go. Once
Mm,
you get those things down, you write those down, that's going to give you, that's your incentive, right? That's your
yeah.
incentive. So how do you get there? You got to take those little steps, and you got to work on your confidence. You got to work on your physical health. You got to work on your mental health. You have to love yourself. I hated myself. I told Mo the other day, I have ran away from myself for 50 years. Now, the last two, I don't want to be away from Michelle. I like her. and you can get to that point. But it's work. You have to be ready to do the work. If you're ready to do the work, if you don't like the way it is now, you don't want to be there in 5 years, start moving.
Mm,
I
that's
love
good.
that. Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Michelle. I'll wrap with this. Um, I also think there's something to be said for not pressuring yourself to come up with some type of conclusion and give yourself this ambiguous, unless this feels too heavy. Like you got to play with it a little, but like we think the hell out of things. Sometimes it's like, what if I just go to a museum right now? You know, what if I just like go be inspired by something, or like you said you've got three things. Like what are some things you could like do to baby explore them without forcing yourself to make a decision, you know? I think for me anyway, that always unlocks me being inspired by somebody else and what they're doing, getting jealous about somebody else and what they're doing and going, oh, I must like that. Okay, so this person's actually a beacon of light, whatever it might be. Like, I also really think like maybe give yourself the space to not make any decisions and just go experience things. And if you notice yourself thinking about it too much, maybe go do instead. Like Michelle was saying, like, but then if it sucks, then you learned, right? You're like, well, that's not my thing, you know? Just a thought. And because I know you're a creative person, like something that Ashley said, she said, Nicole, maybe also take Raven's quiz as a character in that you might find some type of inner self pulling you and notice that. Like also dress up. Like we were talking about earlier, like I think dress up is such a fun, silly way to get like if a character's experiencing this and I like it or I'm called to it for some reason. That's just an idea. How does that feel? Does anything serve in this moment?
Yeah, all of it does. I mean, I think it's all great takeaways of things to try. And Michelle hit it on the head. Like when you get stagnant, it's like because you're absolutely not doing the things that
Yeah.
you want to be doing. And you kind of, and I said this to you earlier, Mo, when we were talking, but I feel like I've silenced my intuition for such a long time that giving it space to really hear what it's saying or what I'm feeling called to do. Like I have not trusted myself enough over the last several years to do that. So it's getting back to that place of saying, okay, now I have to rebuild that foundation. And maybe some of these
Yeah.
things, just giving it a try will get that jogged.
Yeah, and
Thank
like
you.
it's fine to like mess up or like get some skid marks on your face from sliding down the road, you know what I mean? Like those are but like this is all part of the journey of life and part of your story and probably that won't happen, but I think it's also okay to like I just shared something the other day about I entered a CrossFit competition just because I wanted to be able to say that I did it. I didn't I got last place. Was there were there moments that I was like there's a lot of people here who were like professional. It was like I felt like an idiot a couple times because there's a couple times that like I almost couldn't even do the thing we were supposed to do. But I was like, you know what? This is my life. I want to say that I did it. I also did that once with a marathon just to say that I did it. Um, but I wasn't good at it. And I think that's okay too. And I think maybe knowing that you and Beyonce share the same sign, you don't have to, we don't have to be Beyonce and everything. You can be Mo and things. Or Nicole and everything, which I think that is probably the better thing. Hey, I just also want to say I love you and I'm always here and you can always message me. And if you ever want to come play in Texas, you know how to find me.
I love you too. And you know what they said? They said that this whole new transit that's coming is going to be similar to the preview that we got in July of 2025. And to go back and look what you were doing in July of 2025. And guess where I was in July of 2025, Mo? Celebrating
Where?
your birthday with you,
Oh, yes.
doing
Oh
the
my
TED Talk.
gosh. Oh, you're right. You're right. Okay. Well, that's awesome. All
So
right.
maybe we
Well,
will.
yes, I see celebration in our future. Well, I'm so glad that you shared tonight and it's good to see you. And please keep us
Yeah, good to
posted.
see you.
Maybe,
Sure.
maybe if you want to come next month and tell us something that you played with.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. I would love to hear from you. Okay, I'll pop you here off of the spotlight. Also, Leela said, life has gotten better when I experience moments without expectation, allowing whatever moment to narrate an individual story instead of a predisposed assumption. I love that. And Ashley said, wow, wow, wow. Yes, I always think that when Leela talks. Okay. And then also Michelle said experience, get out, try things, things you would never thought you would. You learn what you like, what you don't like. Yes, 100%. I think like anywhere, play and fun is always, I know I say this like every single call, but it is such a calling me forward type of a signal that I am always looking for, so I hope that helps. We've got a little less than 10 minutes. I do want to, Ashley, I see that you're up next. Do you mind if I pop Rebecca on first since it's her first call? And then maybe we pop over to you, we wrap the thing. Jessica, I'm not sure if we're going to get to you. These things go fast. These things go fast. Um, Rebecca, hello. Thank you for joining. I saw that you wanted to share. We've got just a little bit of time left. Thanks for
Yeah, I can be
joining.
real quick. Yeah, thanks for having me. I want to say thank you, Mo, for, inviting me to your community. That's kind of something I've been struggling with lately for me
Oh, I'm
personally.
so glad
Yeah,
you're here.
yeah, well, it's been almost 2 years since I've been in the DFW area, and coming from an established environment and then moving abruptly and not being an adult, of course, it's really hard making, connections with people. And when I became an adult is when I was more aware that I had ADHD, and I'm starting to really notice it a lot more now that I'm in this position of trying to find community and work balance and everything. And it's been a struggle, and
Yeah.
finding you guys is kind of nice. Just because I have caught myself, I'm in a completely different environment with people, and I'm trying to hide my personality for business purposes in a
Yeah, I get
sense.
you.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes when I'm around certain people, say like my boss, because she's the only other real human interaction I'm around like more often,
Yeah.
and I keep trying to tell myself we're not friends yet. We're still like, and it's just because I get anxious and I just start overloading and doing things. And so I'm starting to notice a lot more of these triggers, the ADHD triggers that I'm starting to do. And it does. I seriously go back through the day and I'm like, why did I say that? That was not like, don't do that. And finding you guys, it's just been this will be a nice fresh air, and I'm going to want to keep doing it and hopefully meet more people and be able to talk through it a little more, because dude, I'm right here right now.
Yeah.
My heart is beating 1,000 miles a minute right now, and I don't know
Oh,
why.
well, take a breath, girl. My heart beats every time this call starts
Yeah.
because I'm like, first of all, is anyone gonna come?
Yeah.
Because you put something on, you're like, are people my friends? Does anyone care? Rejection sensitivity of it all. I'm like, maybe this doesn't matter to anyone, and I'll be all alone, spiraling, overthinking, but this
Yeah.
is one of the reasons I love this space. Like, we can talk about all these things, and honestly, suppressing who you are, suppressing your symptoms rather than supporting your symptoms, those are things that will drain your
Hmm.
energy. And also, just like even we were talking about this whole night, in terms of self-talk and the things
Hmm.
that maybe you told yourself when you were younger that have carried through, or maybe you're noticing these things and going, I wish that wasn't like that, or I might not be accepted if you're so in good company, and you're working at a place called The Cave. Is it allowed? Is it
I
allowed?
am.
I literally just looked it up today and was like, I gotta go to
Oh
this
gosh,
place.
and that's one of the reasons why I love this job too, because it helps you decompress.
Yeah.
So we specialize in relaxation through infrared saunas and salt therapy floating. So it's like turning your brain off and resetting yourself from the inside out. And that's something I was like, this is going to be a great connection for me to be able to work through and stuff. And yeah, I'm excited. So if you're in the DFW
Yeah.
area, hit
I'm
me up.
literally
I got
posting
a
the link.
coupon.
It's citycave.com/Southlake.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Looked it up earlier because I felt like Rebecca was going to be here tonight. And I was like, I do a little research on everybody. Okay. This is my weird ADHD thing. I'm like, what's everybody got going on? And throughout the month, I'm like trying to make sure I understand what's going on in everybody's life. I
Mhm.
want to keep up with it because I have a hard time being friends. I don't know how everybody else does it, but I have to like schedule how to do it, and one of
Mhm.
those ways I do it is like I'll set reminders, like text this person, and then of
Mhm.
course you have those moments that like divine something hits you and you're like, I've got to send you this message. I love you, whatever. whatever it is.
Been there
Um,
so many times.
yeah, like this we got to express, you know. But I
Mhm.
looked it up. So if you guys want to check it out too, in South Lake, Raven was just in South Lake for this
Yeah.
amazing property she was just looking at. South Lake is a very, I would say this is like upscale bouge. Like
Bougie.
it's a bougie vibe in South Lake.
Hmm.
I
And
want to
being
go
someone
there.
who's quirky, yeah. And when you have like someone who's super quirky, a little bit out of the box, they kind of look at you like, who is this person?
Well, here's a fun shift. I'll say Michelle was just talking about this earlier when she was in the Capitol. So she had a similar and girl, my 20s were don't be an ADHD you. We'll talk about it sometime. I always say I was like a salmon swimming upstream. I was basically just thrashing myself to death trying to appear not like me to fit in these professional spaces. I mean, I've done it.
Mhm.
But what I found is when people are looking at you, they're looking at you because you are different and it's really
Mhm.
fun. It's like I'm looking at you because I'm like, okay, she's my vibe instantly, you know?
Mhm.
But like we read it as, why are you looking at me? Do you see something? You know, is that your experience or am I off on that?
No, 100%. Because I'm still trying to understand, like, for me, fashion's kind of my outlet. I love vintage items and I like to put things together and stuff.
Yes.
And so being here, you have a lot of ladies who are wearing like $300, $400 tops and these business suits and all this. And I'm like wearing lace tops with blue jean vests and all this like, colors and cat
Yeah.
pants with bustiers. I know it sounds, but it's super cute. I promise it's super cute. But it's like that's just my part. It's like my quirkiness comes out of my clothing, and I do notice like people stare at me, and then it's like yeah, and I'm like it's conversation starters for me,
It
and it's
is.
still been
Yeah.
a bit of a blocker, and so I'm still trying to balance out. Like I mean, I went to one chamber event, they're wearing something, go to another event, and they're all wearing big bougie hats, and it's like we're at a garden party, and I was like, I did not get the memo.
Too bad you couldn't
And
go to
I
Raven's garden party because I think you would have
yes,
your fashion would have exploded
oh,
there.
I
You
would have
got to
loved
see
it.
how
We
I
they
should
would have
do
did.
a party, you guys. Like we should, I don't know if it's in Zoom or in person, but we should just wear some crazy hats one
Dude,
day.
that would be so
uh,
fun. I have
I
ideas
know.
for the record. We need to have a get together, and some things are being played with in the background. So, but for sure, you guys know they'll be dressing up because I've just gotten some ideas tonight, especially for Michelle.
Love it.
Feels like Alice in Wonderland may should be the theme, right? Well, hey, I'm gonna pop a couple of you here that I put on the spotlight off, and then also I just want to say we're here the last couple minutes. Um, Rebecca, this is a place
Mhm.
for you. This is a home. We're glad you're
It
here.
is.
We're not going to hound you around, but if you want to come back as much as you want, we want you here. And then you know me, like I'm a resource. So as
Mhm.
you're navigating through all this, I'm here. I have some really fun things I'll be announcing literally next month at our call. So if you're here tonight, there's going to be some like giveaways and some really big things that I've been working on for literally years, and it's almost done. So I'm really excited to show you. Um, and Rebecca, thank you for sharing with us about City Cave and relaxation. I literally was looking earlier and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to book something because you had like a couple's like salt tank or something that was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm sold.
I'm telling you, it's well, have you ever seen the salt deprivation
Yeah,
pods?
yeah.
So it's we have an open pool, so it's less intimidating. You don't feel like you're in a coffin, and that's what also makes it so much more relaxing. And so it's good for us too, because
Oh,
I can't do that.
literally, we need each other in each other's lives, it
Yeah.
sounds. So like I'm really glad
Yes.
I'm glad we're talking. So I'm gonna and also vintage shopping in Dallas,
Mhm.
I'm here for it. Like I
Let's
want to
go.
know all the cool places. There's great places in Denton. Anyway, we'll get to that next time. And
Yeah.
we've only got a minute left. I'll pop you off. Thank you for coming. Jessica Ann, I'm so glad to see you. I watched Craig's video the other day and it was so moving. I'm glad that he's doing well. Your love for each other and the way that you've been supporting him through his treatments, it is just really, it's really moving. And maybe next time you come, you can chat with us about your new venture, but we'll get to that. So we're glad to have you here tonight too. And I just love you. I'm sending all you guys love. And again, you know, literally some themes. I just want to repeat a couple of things I heard tonight. And honestly, the idea of anytime, this is a theme always, but anytime we hold ourselves back in the roles that we see and the perceived rules that go along with it, and the ability to just give yourself the grace, so Nicole, the grace to find who you are now, discover anew, see what's still there from before, and maybe let go of what you've been dragging around isn't serving. Raven tonight, in the way that she's flowing more in her authority with her business and completely shifting away from what life used to be. That's just so beautiful. Same with Michele, and like really owning who she is in these rooms. And when she's in these rooms, she's feeling good because she's not in her head about how she's being perceived, you know, which is a huge energy drain. Ashley, so good to see you as always. Raven, thanks for being the sponsor of tonight, this call, and the newsletter this month. You know, I just want to say thank you so much for coming. It means a lot to me, and I consider you all to be people who are very close to my heart. So, you know, I'll send out the newsletter tomorrow, and we'll have the video from tonight. If you want to meet Raven outside of this or anyone else, I'll be tagging things in the newsletter, so you'll have a way to connect. And if anybody after this conversation wants someone's information or their Instagram or a way to connect, let me know. Just shoot me a message or text me. That's everything I have for you tonight. I hope you guys come next month. If you can't, no sweat. But just sending you guys so much love. Thanks for being here tonight.
Energy
And
strategy
thanks for
and
sharing.
shaking off the scripts they wrote in my mind. ADHD rhythm in my stride. Energy budget holding me aligned. I'm returning to the part that's mine. Breathing out the stories that confine.